All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is once again the edition of the Open Mic Night with the guys from Driving the Top Productions. My name is Big Rich. To my right on your screen, it is our guy from Baltimore. Rav, what's going on, man?
How's it going, gentlemen? Looks like we're looking for a new center, possibly in the home of the flock here. The way it's going with Linderbaum. Interesting to see Drew Dolman also retired today. That shocked everybody.
Yeah, the one that from Chicago, right?
Yeah, he just got a new contract last offseason. So yeah, he just shocked everybody and retired. So yeah, that's
Yeah. And on the bottom of the screen, our man from Detroit, the Lion expert, JB. What's going on, man?
Not much. Hey, he's gone. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, you lost a running back yesterday, going to the Houston Texans, who definitely could use one. Anyone that's putting 100% faith in Woody Marks down here is absolutely crazy. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys do to replace that.
Well, I think right now, unless they find a gem in the draft, and there's a couple, there's a couple of those, like Adam Randall, he didn't help his draft stock running that 4.5 at his height and weight. He needed to run a sub 4.5 to raise his draft stock. Then there's Noah Whittington, who didn't even run. And then you got the guy that wasn't even invited that I've talked about already, that Chip Trayanum out of Toledo. All of those guys are that style of the north and south, ground and pound, 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of running back. But we already have a couple of them on there. If you remember, we got the DC Defenders guy, Sailors, on our roster. We re-signed him. And we also got Vaki.
Yeah, there's a lot to choose from there.
I think it was good for both teams, actually. When you talk about the Montgomery thing, I'm sure Lions fans maybe don't want to hear that, particularly because they like Montgomery.
It is, but I worry about it at the same time because they've had a worse O-line for running than our O-line was. And if you look at it, they were 32 in EVA, according to the stats. And they traded away both of their guards that had more snaps than anybody. And I understand it, but I don't understand it at the same time because it seemed like most of the pressure was coming from outside. Well, hello, Magpie.
The Lions there, you talked about so let's talk about the Texans first. So the Texans actually went out and got Tyus Howard this week in trade. So that's good because they need all the help in the world on the offensive line.
A fourth rounder for they traded him, didn't they? They traded
Tyus Howard. Yeah, so they got rid of him. So they traded away
Scruggs.
Right. So they have to totally rebuild the offensive line. Montgomery is good for him because he can get a chance to be bell cow on his own team, etc. So I think it makes all the sense in the world, and I think he's absolutely right. In the draft, you're not going to find a guy in the fourth round, third round that's as good as Montgomery. So you're getting a number one back that you can go ahead and build the rest of your team out and don't have to worry about that. I think Gibbs for the Lions, for him to get all the carries is not bad either. Like, this guy is one of the top 5 running backs in the NFL. So I don't think there's anything that the Lions need to worry about as far as getting him more carries or anything like this. Nothing I've seen. I think that's probably why it's expensive to have that much running back, especially when you need O-line help. I'm sure they're going to try to sign Linderbaum, et cetera, and all that. So I think that's probably the main reason for it as well. That's probably it. I think I do agree with you when you say that the Texans line just scares everybody. They've never been able to get that right. They've never been able to get that right. even when they had Carr there as quarterback. So it was terrible then.
So what's your question, Magpie?
While they're typing that, let me run something past you guys, because one of the other things that happened since we last talked is that the franchise tags have been allowed to be placed, and we have got 4 of them that are out there right now. Brees Hall was tagged by the Jets. Daniel Jones got the transition tag from the Colts. George Pickens got the franchise tag, and so did Kyle Pitts. So Hall, Pickens, and Pitts get franchised. What was the worst of the 3 franchise tags?
If you look at it by money, it'd have to be the Daniel Jones, right?
Well, he's a transition.
Yeah, and Kyle Pitts was a transition one, right?
No,
he was franchise tag.
He was just
Kyle Pitts, Pickens, and Hall all got non-exclusive franchise tags.
I
So
think
if another
Pickens
team wants to offer them that kind of money, then they can.
I think Pickens was the worst. As good as he was last year, you already have CeeDee Lamb. That's a lot of money you're paying him. That's a lot of money you're paying him for a guy that really gives you a lot of problems. That's a lot. Don't get me wrong, he was fantastic last year, but I don't know about that one. That's risky. Pitts, it's a tight end, so it's not as much. They're going to go with him anywhere. They're going to give him a deal like that. That's not as big of a deal. Brees Hall, whoever's going to look, somebody's got to run the ball with whoever's playing quarterback in the Jets, so that's not crazy.
I think the Brees Hall one is the worst because he hasn't lived up to the hype that he had coming out since his rookie year, and he's been injured off and on, and to give him that much money for 1 year is a little ridiculous.
For context, George Pickens would make 27.3 on the tag. Kyle Pitts would make 15 mil on the tag, and Brees Hall would make 14.3 on the tag.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Brees Hall was the worst one, but Pickens is a close second. And yeah, I'm gonna hammer the Cowboys every chance I get. All you guys know this, but now the Cowboys, if Pickens plays under the tag, they will have 7 players over 20 million, and their kicker wants 15. Now,
Right.
Granted, their kickers are best offensive players, so you might have something to go with there. But Brandon Aubrey wants 15 a year.
I mean, do we have to say the Cowboys don't know what they're doing? I mean, do people watching know that the Cowboys don't know what to do? I mean, come on, man. This is kind of what we're saying. Like, first of all, you already have a number 1 receiver with CeeDee Lamb. You could argue if he had a better season last year. So why are you spending $20 million on a wide receiver? Now, if you're going to franchise him and trade him, okay, you're getting something. I can kind of get with that. But I don't understand why you're spending. Aubrey's a fantastic kicker. But $15 million, I agree. That's a lot of kicker. I mean, consider
here would be my question. Here would be my question, Rav. If you are going to trade Pickens, who in the world is going to trade you to get a receiver like him for $27 million?
Well, you negotiate the deal.
You
negotiate the deal. Huh? You put the tag. You can negotiate the deal, but you retain the rights. So if you just let him go with no compensation, you could say, okay, let's take a 3rd round. Let's get a long-term deal, etc. That's the Cowboy. If they were smart enough to do that, which I'm not sure they are, that's how you do it, right? You just hold on to the rights, so whoever it is interested in Pickens has to deal with it. But I think they're just going to pay him and play him, and they're just. And again, I don't believe for a second he'll be as good next year as he was last year. I don't. Maybe you all guys feel differently, but I don't see it.
When you look at the guys on this roster, okay, Dak, and this is their cap. This is their cap. What they're showing on the cap this year. Okay, Dak is 74 on a 40 million base. CeeDee Lamb is 38 on a 25 base. Tyler Smith is 27.5 on a 23 base. Pickens is 27. We talked about that. Quinnen Williams is 21.6 with a 20.7 base. Kenny Clark is at 21.5 with an 8.8 base. And Osa Odighizuwa is 20.75 at 16.25 base. And yes, I will take a round of applause for pronouncing the man's last name correctly. So,
by the way, Yinzer is a fellow Steelers and Pirates fan.
Yes, I think we've had a chance to talk a couple of times. Yeah. So he's got good taste. What can I tell you?
How are we supposed to know?
So we've got something coming up though this week that I don't think we have ever really talked about. World Baseball Classic starts this week, and a lot of the guys from the major league teams are participating for their country. Of course, the United States is loaded with MLB guys. So is the Dominican and Venezuela and places like that. A, do you think it's a good thing to have this in the middle of spring training? And B, who do you like in the World Baseball Classic?
For me, I'm going to say I like it to come down to the Dominican Republic versus USA. I just think that pro roster has way too much on it. Shohei is not playing for Japan this year. So I don't like it taking up spring training, but I like it better than taking up the regular season.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that aren't playing because of insurance issues. That they weren't able to get their insurance to push through, so they're not playing. Rav, what do you think?
Let me answer that question first. I'm fine with doing this during spring training, better than the regular season. So that I wouldn't be so big on. I don't think it hurts hitters at all, really. How does it hurt them? It's like extra BP, et cetera. They get different pitchers that they're going to see. I think it might help in some cases. They're going to be seeing better pitching in the World Baseball Classic than it would in the regular season. So hitters, I don't think it hurts them in one little bit. Pitchers, that could be looked at. I think that's why Shohei's not doing it. I think you're pushing the pitchers a little bit harder than they would in this and you would in the spring. So I think that's a bit of a concern for me. I'm right in there with him. I think U.S. and Dominican Republic are the two best teams. I think the Dominican Republic has the best players probably in the world right now. You look at every team, they have several players from the Dominican Republic, and I do think they will probably be the best World Baseball Classic. I got to tell you, I really changed my opinion with the last one. I really was not that into this, but man, that last World Baseball Classic had me on the edge of my seat, seeing Shohei and Mike Trout in that big situation and all that. So I'm ready this time as well, because I barely talked about it on the channel like a couple years ago. I was like, man, I'm not that. This was fantastic. I couldn't have been more wrong about a sporting event watching World Baseball Classic.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I think you guys are right. It probably does come down to the U.S. Dominican Republic. I'm not holding off Puerto Rico. It just seems like Puerto Rico is one of those teams that has enough there. The big thing is they don't have Lindor. But at the same time, I kind of like what Tarek Skubal is doing, where he said, okay, I'll pitch during pool play, and then I'm going back to training camp.
Right.
I'll pitch that one game to get us in. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Skeens does too.
Skeens said
which granted, that kills two aces off your staff.
Skeens said he's only pitching 2 games.
2 games, okay. So
but I think he didn't specify when, so I think they're going to hold him out till they get into the brackets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, if I remember correctly, the first game is Friday. And if I remember correctly, Skubal's starting game 1, the first game of the
versus
pool play.
Great Britain.
Yeah, which they should win that game 37-0. Great Britain's used to hitting with that boat oar they used to play cricket. They're not used to using bats. Come on. there are going to be major leaguers on some of the other teams that you may not realize. Like Spencer Horwitz from the Pirates will be playing for Israel. Lars Nootbaar will be playing for Japan. He was born in Japan. I believe it's his mother that is Japanese. So there's going to be guys playing for teams that you might not necessarily think about. Remember, Andrew Jones always played for Aruba whenever they were doing the Latin Classic and all that. And people were like, "Wait a minute, what?" Yeah, that's where he was from. He's from Aruba. So, but I'm looking forward to it. I especially with a team like the Pirates, I'm glad we don't have too many guys playing in the Classic because I want to see that continuity come together with all the new guys. Some of the teams don't have that much of a difference in staff. Pirates have got a bunch of new guys, so
I don't think it hurts hitters at all. Not much. I don't think you're doing anything that hitters at all. I think they're going to play against better pitching, and I think it's going to actually help some hitters as well. So I don't see any of that. You maybe like to see them on their same teams, but you're going to be playing with a lot of guys that they've been playing with or familiar with as well with their own cut. So that doesn't. The pitchers, I think, is probably the big concern. How hard do you want to have these pitchers go when they have to go back to major league teams and actually do that? That's the concern I have, because they definitely did it the last time when the World Baseball Classic. Those pitchers were pitching hard, and I think sometimes it did hurt some of those teams in the regular season. So,
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Shohei get hurt like 4 weeks into the season and then missed a lot of time at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, as cool as that was, that's the concern. I think that's why he's not going out there this time as well. And besides,
Edwin Diaz blew his arm.
Yep. Yeah, so that's what you don't want in that thing. I think we are trending towards this in the Olympics as well. Again, I think you are gonna see I don't know about 2028. I think we may see it. I think by 2032 we'll for sure have major leaguers in the Olympics at that point. I think that's what we're definitely trending to as well. You're gonna have that and flag football, I think, at some point too.
If they're going to do that, though, they're going to have to do the extended break, kind of like what the NHL does with the Winter Olympics, where they have, the extended period where it's like, 10 days or something like that with no NHL games because of the guys that are going to be missing. Right. But can we get into a very stupid baseball player?
Javi Baez?
How dumb does someone have to be to get caught not once, but twice? No, wait a minute. 3 times with PEDs in 2026.
Who's that?
Jurickson Profar got suspended today for the entire 162 game season.
That was incredible. I saw that.
Positive for PEDs. How dumb can one man be?
You just answered it.
I've never seen that. Somebody in the chat tell me, or somebody else tell me, like, if they've ever seen a guy suspended for all 162. Never seen that.
There's been guys suspended for 162, but not recently. Not in the last, I'd say, 5 or 6 years since they really cracked down on this stuff. But I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't understand what possibly could make a player do that.
Especially if you've been caught twice already.
Yeah, because the first time they give you a warning, then the second time you get the 80 games, and then the third time, it's a year. Fourth time, you're done.
Yeah, it's finished.
Fourth time, it's a lifetime ban.
Well, and at that time, I think Profar's probably done right now. Who's going to touch him now? So they know, because they know it's going to happen possibly. If, let's say you even think he can still play, and I think it's a real tragedy in his place. Baez isn't that good of a player Anyway, but I think like you talk about Profar. I mean, this is his whole career. Who's going to want to pay him any money, any significant dollars, knowing that his next time he gets caught with PDE, he's done forever. So, I mean, that's a real thing.
And he forfeits his $15 million salary.
Oh, pay him for what? You're missing a whole season. what are you paying him for? What are you paying him for? He's suspended all 162. Yeah, they take an all 162 of the game check.
Yep.
As well. Whatever stands, whatever signing bonus or whatever he has, you know, that's not as big in baseball. You know, they might get something like that or workout bonus or maybe something like that. But other than that, yeah, you get nothing.
MLB increased the penalty for two-time excuse me. MLB increased the penalty for two-time PED offenders for a full season in 2014. Since then, only 6 players have received the 162-game ban, including Profar. The most recent one was J.C. Mejia in 2023, a reliever for the Milwaukee Brewers. So there we go.
I mean, I don't know. I agree. Somebody in the chat said, well, most athletes have pea brains. I mean, we got a whole Hall of Fame here without some of the greatest players because of PEDs, performance-enhancing drugs, and all that other stuff. So, yeah, they're not going to tolerate anything like that these guys are doing. They're not going to go for a bias in Profar acting silly with all this stuff. 162 games. I mean, that's insane. Explain that to your wife. Like, hey, man, I you know, the house.
That wouldn't be the hard part. The 15 mil would be the hard part to explain to his wife.
Yeah, explain that to your wife. You just changed.
You're gonna be glad to have him out of the house for those 162 games. It's just that $15 million check that she ain't gonna have coming into the house that she's probably more upset about.
Yeah, you got that right, brother.
So, okay, let's shift gears back to football a little bit, because nothing like being told you're getting fired a week in advance. Quarterback Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals has been told that when the league year starts next Wednesday,
you're a free agent.
Have your mail forwarded, because you ain't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. He's done. So that makes him a free agent unless they can trade him at some point, which they ain't been able to trade him till now. So I don't know why they would be able to trade him in the next week. Not to mention the fact you just told the whole freaking league we're going to cut him loose. Well, who's going to pay him what he would get on a trade when you could probably get him as a free agent for less than what he was supposed to get in Arizona?
Exactly.
Just me. But where do you think Kyler Murray ends up?
Minnesota Vikings.
New York Jets.
I hope you're wrong.
He's going to Minnesota.
Yes.
Malik Willis is probably going to the Jets.
Wow.
I think Malik probably winds up in Miami. I think he's smart enough, Malik, real quick. Smart enough to not take a low ball offer. That's why he's kind of playing poker, and I think that's where he wants to go. I think it makes the most sense for both. He's familiar with the coach, the GM, all that, the offense. So he's coming in a situation way more conducive to his success than in New York. Unless it's way more money, I think it's Miami. Kyler Murray, maybe you guys could tell me what exactly is the problem with Kyler Murray and his behavior in Arizona. Everybody kind of talks around it. I don't know what he's doing. Like, I haven't heard anybody say anything.
He's a major gamer. He'll stay up all night playing video games, even on game night.
Yep.
He'll stay up before a game till 2 or 3 in the morning playing video games.
Why is that a problem? I mean, he's like 20-something years old.
He's not getting any kind of sleep before a game. He's not getting his rest. He's playing games during meetings. He's on his phone or on his PSP during meetings, falling asleep during meetings because he's been playing video games all night. That kind of stuff. He doesn't know the playbook.
Remember, they tried to write that into his contract, and he refused to sign it. About he had to read his playbook at home. He had set times.
I heard about that.
He refused that contract until they removed it.
Yep.
I heard
about playing video games than football.
But on the field, let's go there. That's kind of more where I'm going with this. What's the problem that Arizona? It's not like I would almost buy this
5'8".
from. He's 5'8". I mean, he's got like 4.2 speed. I mean, you can work that. He's not like 5'8" and like Diego Pava and can't run. Right?
No, but he's 5'8".
Okay,
that's the problem.
When he does run, he gets hurt.
Right. If he was 6'1", this conversation would never take place because you would be talking about Kyler Murray in the same breath as Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and some of these other guys. With his speed, if he was 6'1", no question about it, he'd be one of the best quarterbacks in football. He has the talent, but no. I saw a thing earlier today. I was talking to our buddy Adam, and I saw a thing today that said that Kyler Murray would make the Ravens a better prospect for the Super Bowl than Lamar this year. Care to respond to that one, Mr. Rav?
Well, that's insane. That's really ridiculous. That he's not. I didn't say he was Lamar Jackson. I think just going that
He's
far.
telling you what the man said.
I mean, that's just crazy. I don't know why he would say anything crazy like that.
I thought it was nuts too, but
quarterback rating for Kyler 94 point outside after his rookie year 94.3, 100.6, 87.2, 89.4, 93.5. Last year he was benched. It was like 88.6. That's better than a lot of quarterbacks out there. It's not great, but I'm just not as convinced of everybody that this guy's a complete just Josh Rosen situation, complete train wreck.
Oh, he's not.
Or Anthony Richardson or anything like that. I think I'm hearing a lot of that, and I don't understand that. I think if he was in San Francisco, we're not having this conversation. Yeah. If he was in Minnesota, like you're saying, I don't think we're having. They will use him, and we'll be in a situation where it will work. Go ahead.
Yinzer, if he's 5'10", I'm 6'5".
Yeah, I've covered the kid. I say kid. I've covered the guy when he was in high school. I covered the guy when he was in college. There ain't no way, maybe with his cleats on, he's 5'10". Maybe. He's 5'8" at best.
So let's talk about this for a second. So short quarterbacks don't work. Are you guys saying that forever? I mean, or ever, never. So Bryce Young, obviously the jury's still out on him, and you've had Russell. So it's just you wouldn't do it.
Well,
see, I'm not as convinced of that either.
It's not that short quarterbacks don't work, because that's been made a myth because of Drew Brees, Doug Flutie, and other guys that have done it. Bryce Young even looks better.
No. Yeah. Than Kyler Murray? No. I don't know about that.
No, yeah.
Yes.
If you gave me the option today of Bryce Young or Kyler Murray, I'm taking Bryce Young all day long.
Yep. All day long. Bryce Young, all they did in Carolina to make his stats decent is take the ball out of his hands. He never throws to the wide receivers. Never. He just, hand the ball off as much as possible, throw to your running backs and tight ends, period. Because the only thing what he is good at is making he's good at improv in the pocket. That's what he is good at. He can hit a guy, he doesn't need to be stationary in the pocket. He's good at improv in the pocket.
He is the epitome of he has to be with the right coach, which is why, if you guys remember a while back when we were first talking about Kyler and being dumped by the Cardinals, that I said if the Steelers hired Cliff Kingsbury, that Kyler would be perfect in Pittsburgh. Because when he played for Kingsbury, he was tremendous. He was third team All-Pro 1 year. Yeah, he was tremendous. When he lost Kingsbury, There it went. Because it's a completely different offense and all that. Would I like for him to go to Pittsburgh? If it means Aaron Rodgers goes away, yeah. I would much rather see Aaron Rodgers go to Minnesota, Kyler come to Pittsburgh, and be the backup to Will Howard. But that's just me.
And you mentioned also Doug Flutie being on the good list. Doug Flutie had to become the greatest player in the history of the CFL to even be in the NFL. Like, let's just get that out there. Like, nobody wanted Flutie to play. I think he was on the Bears backup for a while, or I'm not saying that he wasn't any good when he got to Buffalo. Of course he was. I'm just saying the thought of the Quinn being too small was there. That's why he didn't. That's why he played in Canada for 10 years. Or
that's not what I'm saying.
10 years. Yeah.
The greatest player in Canadian football history?
I think
he's better, Warren Moon?
Better.
Well, Warren Moon?
You could say Warren Moon. I mean, that's about the list, though.
Well,
Warren Moon, and same with him.
List, but still,
same with him. He had to do that for so many years. Yeah, but he didn't get a chance to play.
Okay, let's be honest, Rab. Let's put our cards on the table. We're all adults here, okay? We know what the exact problem with Warren Moon not being a starter in the NFL was for the longest time.
Yep.
He didn't play black quarterback. Yeah, he didn't play black quarterbacks. That was the reason. That's why he didn't play.
Exactly. It had nothing to do with his talent. It was the color of his skin. Let's be perfectly honest about that. And Doug Williams and guys like that finally broke through, and Warren came through and all that. But that's what it was. Nobody could ever doubt Warren Moon's talent. You just had those short-sighted, whatever you want to call them, owners that didn't want a quarterback of color. That's all that was. I think Warren Moon's one of the best quarterbacks to ever step on a field.
I mean, they told Lamar Jackson to go play wide receiver, for God's sake. After he won the Heisman Trophy. I mean, Lamar is one of the best college quarterbacks I ever saw, ever.
In Louisville,
they haven't been. Lamar. Well, he doesn't have a great arm. He doesn't have a great arm. I think
which is probably why they said to play receiver.
He's enormously accurate. That's what he doesn't get credit for. Lamar can run and throw and hit on the side. He can hit anything in any situation. His accuracy is top shelf. That's kind of where he doesn't get credit. People keep saying he's inaccurate, which is insane. He's got tremendous accuracy, tremendous decision making. That's why people can't wrap their arms around it. Rarely do you see Lamar do stupid stuff on the field, like as far as throwing football.
I would give you that within 25 yards. On a deep ball, I wouldn't say he's quite so accurate. But when it comes to throwing the ball on the run 25 yards in, or throwing the ball, period, 25 yards in, yeah, as good as it comes. As good as it comes.
This guy's mentioning Vince Evans. And where'd he go? The Raiders. That doesn't count. Raiders, they were the only players. They were the only place to play black players, like in general. As far as that,
he started with the Bears, though. He backed up Bob Avellini. But see, that was also in that time frame where the absolute dumbest question in sports was asked. Super Bowl 17, I think. 17, 18. Redskins going to the Super Bowl. Doug Williams at quarterback. And press day. Some schmuck, and I'll think of his name in a minute. I will find it. Ask Doug Williams how long he's been a black quarterback. The dumbest question in the history of sports.
Amen.
And he just looked at him like, really? Didn't even answer.
To be fair,
Next.
There are a lot of dumb questions at that Super Bowl thing. That wasn't the dumbest ever. That was especially at the Super Bowl. You get a lot of people there that aren't real sports reporters asking dumb questions.
That's the dumbest question in sports history. I'm sorry.
How long have you been a black quarterback? I mean, Oh, the
You ain't
reporter's
got
name.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna throw it out there. Butch John is the reporter that did it, and it was Super Bowl 22. Let me make that accurate too. Super Bowl 22. Yep. But it was because he was the first black quarterback to start a Super Bowl, if I remember correctly.
Well, I think, and even he, in my opinion, really didn't even get a fair shot in the league. You look at that. I mean, that's pretty much, we're never talking about Doug Williams. He doesn't win the Super Bowl in terms of his career. That's
Well, you figure
about
1988. He was 10 years in because he was a starting quarterback for Tampa in the 70s. When he was
that's
in
true,
Washington going to the Super Bowl, he was 10 years in already. He was just getting a chance to start.
Yeah, he never really did. But he never really, even for Washington, I don't think he had a full season as a starter. I don't think he did. I think he started the next season and didn't fit. Yeah, I don't think he did. I don't think.
But I mean, the Tampa teams he was on were horrid. That was those first few years when Tampa had nothing. You know, 0-26 to start out and all that kind of thing.
Steve Young was even terrible in Tampa. That place, everybody was terrible. I mean, Testaverde gets to Baltimore, and he was really good the whole time he was there until he got older. And he was just a total train wreck in Tampa for years. I mean, they couldn't get it right forever. Not until Sapp and Brooks and those guys, and then that probably changed the math forever. But they were just awful, period. I mean,
Dungy and Gruden as their coaches.
Yeah, exactly. So Tony Dungy got there and all that, and then that finally got some wins, but they were just awful forever.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, they started out garbage. Yeah.
What do you say out in here?
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the year they went 9-7 and won the North, which is still, that's back in the day when Tampa Bay was in the NFC North at one point.
Yeah, they were. It was the Central then.
The Central, I'm sorry.
Central Division, yeah.
But I'm trying to remember because it was the year they got to the NFC Championship game because it was 1979. Because it was the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl. The Rams beat them 9-0 in the NFC Championship, and then the Rams went on to get their butts kicked. Bye! That's right. You're a Pittsburgh Steelers. But that team was actually pretty good. They had some good players on that 79 Tampa team that it was like they put it all together one year, and then in 1980 they were crap again. In 81 they were garbage again. In 82 they were garbage again. But they had that one year that they were pretty good and almost made it to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
79, yeah, he's saying.
Yeah, it was 9-0 Rams. There was no touchdown scored. I think up to that point, and I think it still stands as the only NFC Championship game to not have a touchdown score.
This is kind of like what I was talking about this week on the channel, like as far as NBA. Everybody's talking about the tanking and all that other stuff, and they're mad about that and blah, blah, blah. Tanking doesn't work. I'm going to say it one more time. Tanking does not work. Some teams, you look at the NFL draft, you got some of these same teams at the top. Same ones. You know, did the mock draft. Jets are there. Titans are there. Cardinals are there. You got some of the same ones at the bottom. The Eagles, Steelers, you know, they're always above 20. You know, I mean, that's just how it is. So I don't think tanking is a thing where it works. You know, I think just managing your franchise and things like that. Now, some teams do have better luck than others. I think that's true in football and in basketball. But I mean, baseball's going to went to a draft ladder. Why? For what? I mean, what?
Stupid.
Every once in a while, you get a Paul Skeens that, you know, is going to change the whole thing around.
Right.
And it's even Joy's still out on that in Pittsburgh, as good as they've been, as good as he's been. But like, I just don't think tanking is a thing where it's over talked about. I think managing teams and management and good finding good players and all that is the thing. Wizards have been terrible here forever. Like they've been terrible for I don't know how long. They've
had good players go there and suck.
Yeah,
I mean they couldn't even win with Michael Jordan. For God's sake.
I know. That's what I mean.
Couldn't win when John Wall was good.
They've been
2 years of his career. John Wall was really good, and they couldn't do squat with him.
Right.
I've been watching basketball where I can remember since like 85, 84-ish to Magic Bird era, etc. And I never remember the Wizards ever being any good. I don't think they've ever been past the second round of the playoffs.
The last time they were in the conference finals was 77 or 78.
Yeah.
Wes Unseld was their center.
As the Bullets, right?
Yeah, they were the Washington Bullets. Wes Unseld was there. That was it. That's why Wes Unseld was so revered and for so long, because that was probably the land like this.
And they thought they could make a difference by bringing him in as their coach, and that didn't make a difference either. Because remember, he coached them for a little while.
He coached them for a long time. He was the only coach in the league. His record got worse each year when he was a coach.
But you were talking about the tanking and all that kind of stuff. There's one other big difference, too, between those three sports. In Major League Baseball, almost never does a first-round pick see the light of day in the majors the first year. It's usually a couple, 3-4 year project. In basketball and in football, it's immediate. But the other part of it, too, is in basketball, you've got a lottery. You can tank all you want. You're still not guaranteed that number one because you got more ping pong balls than everybody else. But that doesn't mean you're guaranteed the number one pick. If tanking was going to work anywhere, it's in the NFL, where the worst record gets the number one pick.
Look at my team, the Detroit Pistons. We had the worst record ever in NBA history. And San Antonio Spurs got the first pick that year. That's when they took Wembanyama.
I think the lottery was developed for Patrick Ewing years ago. Because when the Knicks, when they started the lottery, everybody was going to draft Patrick Ewing. He was a guy that was going to change the franchise no matter what you do. So, hey, we need a lottery here, et cetera, to go ahead and do that. I don't think that usually happens in sports. And even in the NFL, you're right. Like, I think where a quarterback can change your whole fortune, I think they don't do it. And you still see some of the same teams at the top and at the bottom. So that's why I just don't think. I really think it's just how teams are managed and everything else.
You know what's funny? Let's look at it from a bigger picture. It is really hard in the first 20 picks in the draft, no matter where you're at, to get the right guy. It's a 32% hit rate. Do you know from 21 to 32 in the NFL, the hit rate's 45%?
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can kind of find a guy where it's more likely to work. In some cases, where it wouldn't work on your team, or it wouldn't work on your team, or it wouldn't work on your team. In basketball, it's not true. It's like you're going to find the right guy, you're going to find a good player, or that's it. It's not going to work. Maybe you get to like 20, 30, and you're a good team, and you can find a guy. I remember like Phoenix Suns. I remember used to be good at that, finding like a Wesley Person or Soccer League or somebody who could kind of fit this system and help them out a little bit because they didn't need step player. But in general, you can't do that. In football, you can get the quarterback that can change the whole fortune. I mean, I think the Raiders will not look like the Raiders as bad with Mendoza next year. They just won't. No. I just don't. And the Jets will still be the Jets without a quarterback.
Well, but I think also when it comes to basketball compared to football or even baseball, the number of guys on the field at a time makes a difference too, because in the NBA, in basketball, you got 5. In the NFL, you have 11. Baseball, you got 9. And there's a lot of a difference that if you've got one guy, even the roster size, in NBA, you got 13. In baseball, you got 26. In football, you got 53. One guy can make a big difference. If you've got 4 or 5 guys on a basketball team that are, let's and okay, I'll throw it out there. You got 4 or 5 Bronny James on a roster. You're in trouble. If you got 4 or 5 of those type of guys on a major league roster, it's not as bad because you can bury them a little bit. If you got 4 or 5 guys of that level on an NFL roster, it doesn't make a drop of difference because they're never going to see the field in the first place, except maybe on the kickoff team. So I think that's part of the thing too with the NBA is that every guy has to perform because you only have so many guys. You've got a really small roster to work off of, and every guy has to perform, which is why you have these teams, like you said, that are doing, and they're doing it with young guys now. San Antonio, they drafted Wemby, but then they put the guys around him, and they built it up just like they did when they drafted Duncan and Robinson, and Pop built those guys around him like Sean Elliott and Mario Ellie and all those guys. Same thing Detroit did when they had Isaiah and Dumars and Lambeer and Mahorn and Rodman and all that stuff. The Celtics, when they, which version of the Celtics do you want? The Ray Allen version, the Dennis Johnson version, but they all, whether it was the first guy or the 13th guy, they could play and they could win. You could win with those guys. Those guys can't exist that are the 4th and 5th last guys on the bench on a football team. That kind of quality can't be on an NBA roster or you're going to be in deep trouble. And there's too many teams that have that kind of guy.
Well, Bronny James, I think, has no business in the league. I mean, we all know this. I mean, this is the biggest case of nepotism maybe in the history but
it's daddy.
I mean, this kid's making what? He's got a better deal than he's got the best deal in the history of the second round. He didn't want to work out for any other team except for the Lakers. I think he might have worked out for Phoenix, I think. But what are we doing? I mean, he's not even close. Not close. I mean, he shouldn't be in the league. I mean, he shouldn't be in the league if he couldn't, if he can't play more and more and that. So that's the worst deal in the league. So I think Bronny James is stretching it out a little bit. But
let me use my guys. Let me use my guys, my Dallas Mavericks. Okay, their end of the bench guys are Tyler Smith, who should be playing for the Cowboys right now, Caleb Martin, John Polakidis, and Brandon Williams and Musa Cisse. I'll give $1 to anybody that's ever heard of any of those guys, except Tyler Smith, who we all know plays right tackle for the Cowboys. Anybody heard of those guys before?
Who?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
The Mavericks have more holes than Swiss cheese, which is why they're having the problems they're having this year. Yeah, they've got Cooper Flagg. Yes, they've got Chris Middleton. Yes, they've got Daniel Gafford. But they're also starting Max Christie, PJ Washington, and Brandon Williams.
Mavericks problems are upstairs, not on the court. I mean, you obviously got problems on the court. You're right about that. But ever since Mark Cuban
caused by upstairs, you're right.
Yeah. Ever since Mark Cuban left them, you go from, and I thought Mark Cuban was the best owner in the NBA. Best owner in the NBA. I think he's definitely the template for what you're seeing now. But these guys, man, that's you can't trade away Anthony Davis for Luka Doncic and expect good things to happen. They got a break. They got flagged. It was so bad they got flagged in the lottery. So I think that's kind of like preventing them from being even worse than they are right now. And he's been hurt. I think he missed the last couple of games.
They would be early '90s Mavericks bad if they didn't have Cooper Flag.
I like this comment here. So this is kind of like one thing I gave up on the NBA. I think the NBA goes like this, up, like all sports go up, except for the NFL. NFL kind of always stays up here at the forefront with everybody, but the NBA kind of, like, even when I was little, the only real era where the NBA really had national prominence was the golden era of the Jordan era. Or if you want to say Magic before that, and you want to or extend it out to Kobe Bryant and the Lakers era after that. But they've always had, that's it. It's always went up and down. I know Rich is going to talk about how the NBA, when it was on tape delay and stuff like that in the 70s, how nobody,
Am I that much older than you?
You're about, how old are you? I'm
54.
Huh?
54.
54?
Yeah.
No, you're not that much older than me. You got about 5 years on me.
Okay. I was going to say there can't be that much of a difference between us.
You're about 54. But I can tell you, but when I was little, like, they didn't even have games at prime time all the time like they do now. Like, like they used to have conference finals like the West Coast. And I'm just saying, it sports go up and like UFC right now is kind of in the valley, despite how much money they got, etc. So I just think that's the only era of basketball really was that era where people always were locked into the NBA and people were at it. Otherwise, the NBA is kind of always went like this. Baseball goes like this. College football dips even more. I think.
Yeah. In football, I think college football is going to be doing a little bit more of this the next few years because of all the NIL crap. But yeah, I mean, I do remember. Yes, there was that. There was also the thing where, and when I was in Pittsburgh, this was before the Mavericks. The Mavericks came into the league in 1980. So first 9 years of my life, when I was in Pittsburgh, or the night when I was 9 in Texas, didn't have an NBA team. The closest team to Pittsburgh was Cleveland, and we used to catch WUAB, and they would have like a game every couple of weeks on the station. When the Mavericks first came into play, you would have a game every maybe once a week on Friday or Saturday. They would run the game on TV, and that was it. It's not like it is today, where every game is on.
Right.
If you want to watch every NBA game for whatever random team, you can do it, or every MLB game or whatever, you can do it. We didn't have that luxury 40 years ago.
Let me ask this: are there too many streaming services and things like that? To me, I think I heard Charles Barkley say this. I said, Charles Barkley, you sound like an old man. I'm serious. I think a lot of young people really wouldn't say that. There's too many.
Jeremy just jumped right on it. So JB, go ahead, man.
Yes, there's way too many streaming services, and there's way too many pricing options. Look at this. If you want to watch all of them on YouTube, and they're still subject to blackout because it goes by live TV, you're going to pay almost $400 a year for it. That's too much. Yeah, Amazon Prime, yay. Kudos to that. Love it. I get my one free game a week for for 3/4 of the season. But I'm only paying $99 because I get the free 2-day shipping.
Well, that's actually the one you can watch without the you could watch all the games on Twitch. If you have a Twitch account, then you can watch the games, the NFL at least, on Twitch on there. So you don't even need the Amazon Prime because Amazon owns that. So I've been watching. That's what I've been doing a lot of times on for the Thursday night. I hear you on the price. I hear you on the price, but I do believe like this is kind of the way it is as far as going forward. And who says you have to have every daggone streaming service? That's kind of my point. Who says you have to have how many streaming services do you guys have? to actually.
I only
you think
used one when I
actually
couldn't
need
get it to work.
Well, we have DirecTV Stream for our main TV. And now I get MLB Network on, I get the Ranger Sports Network on, so I can get that. I do have Prime because my wife and my girls love Amazon, so we get Amazon Prime as part of the deal. Peacock, yeah. And I only had it until recently because of WWE, and then now we got NFL on there, so okay. And I do have let's see, I got the Prime Video. Yeah, I mean, I've got pretty much the whole shooting match. I've got the ESPN Plus, you know.
If people want to say it's too expensive, I hear that. Trust me when I tell you, you guys make way more money than I do. So I'm in a whole different tax bracket or whatever. But
I'm radio, dude. Come on.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I have no idea. But I think like to say it's hard to find is kind of crazy. It's not that hard to do. You know, I watched like a Maryland game on Peacock like last week, and I thought that was the first time I was like, man, this is hard because they had the Olympics on, they had NBA on, they had all that. So you kind of had to sift through. That was a little bit difficult, but like most stuff, it's not that hard to do. And the streaming prices are going up. I will say that. Like Netflix now, even my wife looked at it last week. She's like, "What Netflix is? What $18 you're spending?" And I don't even.
Yeah, we have
watch
Netflix too because my girls watch the movies. I watch WWE on it, but my girls watch my wife and my girls watch the movies on it. So
I haven't watched Netflix since Luke Cage. I think it was the last series I was watching on on Netflix. However long ago that was, yeah. And now, yeah, WWE's there, but I don't. My daughter watches it like every day. 14-year-old, she loves like 5 different series or whatever. So now
I'll
you're
watch
gonna
Raw on there, and that's pretty much it. But you know,
you're
but
gonna
that's
get
the same way with, huh?
Well, they're merging. I know Paramount and HBO Max. They're gonna merge here pretty quick here since Paramount was dumb enough to spend all that money on Warner Brothers. But yeah, like
but HBO Max does nothing for me. I mean, unless they do something with AEW in amongst all that with Warner Brothers Discovery, then because that's where AEW's at. That's really the only thing that would get me over there. But
I never had it.
The
only reason I ever got it was when I had the Black Friday sale. It was like $2. So I'll do that. It was like $2.99 for like a year. $2.99 a month for like a year. But that otherwise I didn't have it at all. Like, I didn't know what was on. I didn't watch any of the AEW events or anything like that, premium events or anything, pay-per-view, what they used to call it. But I just really would love to talk to like if Josh or somebody young was here, would do they feel the same way? I would doubt it. I would doubt it seriously that they'd be like, okay, what is this too many streaming services? I mean, because this is kind of what people do now. They watch streaming services.
Yeah, I mean, like I know my girls, they stream more than they do anything else. They have Hulu or Sling, one or the other, and then they have because they can get their regular TV stuff. My girls are big into Hallmark Channel, that kind of stuff, so they can get that on Hulu or Sling, whichever one they're on, and then they've got the Netflix that we have that they're tapped into and all that kind of jazz. But I mean, if it was up to them 100% to do, they don't do any local, like watching the local news and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they don't even know what the channels are. They wouldn't even know. They wouldn't even know what channel. If I say Channel 9 News, that's DC. They don't know what I'm talking about. That's my point. They don't even know what streaming services did. They couldn't tell you.
No, mine are the same way. Kids these days.
Some people's kids.
Do you think they overpaid for that? MLB and NBA. Do you think they're spending too much money? And I'm not talking about for the fans' sake. I'm talking about for their sake. So you're running, you work in radio, Rich. So you're running you ran a TV station, radio station. You would spend like, I mean, what's the number the NBA is getting? Like $1 billion a year total on the NBA. You would do that.
That's a couple of million.
Yeah, because when
I don't know what the alternative is.
Number of well, but it comes down to the amount of revenue you can generate because of it. And the advertising revenue for the NBA especially, because the NBA is still geared really young. It's geared 18 to 34. They couldn't give three craps about the three of us watching the NBA. They want that young crowd that's going to be drinking Sprite and buying Nikes and using T-Mobile and drinking Gatorade and all that stuff. They're into those kind of play. You know, they want the kids that are going to be eating at Chipotle and all these other NBA sponsors, you know, that are tied into it. And they're making a lot of their money back, most of their money back through the sponsorship dollars. Because the more eyeballs that are on the NBA and what's called the target demo, the more that they can charge for their commercials. So, you know, the target demo is 1834 for the NBA. So you're going to get those businesses that are like, you're not going to necessarily get the consumer cellular. I'm sure you've seen those commercials with Ted Danson. You're not going to see those on NBA.
I don't need the Ted Danson. I actually have consumer cellular, brother. It's less expensive, bro.
But it's geared to us. It's geared 50 plus. You know, you're not going to see an AARP ad in a basketball an NBA game. So that's why I say they're targeting the younger. That you're going to see a Pepsi ad or a Sprite ad or something like that. Instead of the So that's where did they spend too much money? They'll make their money back. I don't think with any with any major issue. The one that ESPN is losing their shirt on is WWE. They're losing their eyeballs on WWE because they put all that money out there, and WWE they're already right now trending 8,000 less for WrestleMania than they had last year, and they're 5 weeks out.
There's several reasons for that. I didn't think
the card sucks. First off, and it kind of goes from there. I mean,
I'm trying not to answer it like a wrestling fan, which I've been like all my life, but I think the ESPN side of it, that's the wrong place for them to go.
Right.
Because you're just it's kind of like what I just talked about with the watching the Maryland game. They're just part of the ship at ESPN. They're not, and they need more than that. When they were on Peacock, NBC, Universal, they have a long-standing relationship. It's more important, et cetera, like that. Like, you barely know these live events are on. Like, people like maybe me and you who watch all the time. But, like, in general, like, a lot of people, they're not. It's harder to find. And, like, some of these live events weren't even on the main channel, like they said. They kind of said that.
Things you got to look at. A lot of things you got to look at, too, with it is when you're looking at the mass appeal, okay? Everybody at this point understands that it's not legit. Okay. And you're putting it on a channel that is built around legit sports. And you also have to look at ESPN lost their deal with UFC. UFC owns WWE. So they figured if they could go ahead and get WWE locked in, that they could arguably get UFC back at some point from Paramount. Because you were talking about UFC's gone down. I can watch this next UFC card for free on Paramount.
Yes, sir.
Ain't no pay-per-view. It's free on Paramount, the whole card.
Because they don't need it. All the money they're getting.
Because the network is paying them and the network is losing their shirt off this thing. That's why I say ESPN is not going to lose their money on the NBA. Don't ever think that ESPN is going to lose them, and they're going to make money in relation to the MLB contract. They lost money on the MLB deal with all the stuff they were putting into those broadcasts and that on Sunday nights. That they were losing money there. They're going to be ending up making money in the long run there. Where they're losing their shirt is the WWE contract, and it's a 10-year deal.
Right.
They've got an out after 5, but it's a 10-year deal. And I will be completely blown away if they aren't trying to figure out every way conceivable to get out of it in 5 years.
I think their college football deal is worse than the WWE, though. I don't see how that's the WWE at the very least. The production costs are much, much lower. They don't have to spend. One thing that's appealing about WWE to the networks is they pretty much, I mean, they're giving them a lot of money, but then they don't, after that, you don't have to spend any production money. They have their own production team, first class production and all that, etc. Whereas if college football and analysts, then you got to hire announcers, then you got to hire a crew, then you got to do that stuff. I think college football, the money that they're spending on the college football, I mean, it's just, I don't know. That's a lot of that's. I don't know how young that audience is, like you're saying, either. Like in general, I think it's a lot.
But it's a different. You're looking 25-54 is your target demo for college football. Okay, they have the contract for the number 1 conference in the country, in the SEC. They have a secondary contract for the Big 12. So they've got the 2 biggest nationwide, and I'm saying by reach, conferences in the country. The major contract with the SEC, the secondary contract with the Big 12, which Fox has the main one. Okay. We talk about ad revenue. Shoot. The ad revenue for college football pours in. The only money that they're not getting is beer money. They're not getting the beer and alcohol money in college football. Right. But outside of that, they're raking car, insurance, food, delivery services, soft drinks, Home Depot. Home Depot to sponsor College Game Day, high 8 figures a year. They're putting the coin out there, man, to sponsor that, just that one thing every single week. I mean, the college, you'd be surprised, man. College football brings in a crap load of money to ESPN. I think you'd be really surprised.
I think it's a lot of, I agree with you. And I hear you that. College Game Day is also to a legacy of, I don't think there's a bigger legacy on ESPN. I think it probably, in terms of money, like the only other thing you might say is like PTI in terms of like a legacy and stuff, because it's been around forever and ever. But like it doesn't make the money that College Game Day probably makes. That's why they love College Game Day as well. But it's interesting to see the way it's going in media, how much money is being spent in some cases. Chris Carter made a very interesting point like a few weeks ago on his podcast. It kind of went around. He said they pay the Eagles and starve the turkeys, right? So he made a good point. A lot of the NFL guys they got now, and I didn't even realize it until he said it. You look at a lot of those guys that are on ESPN, they're like journeyman guys. They don't have a lot of those big superstar guys because they don't have the money, or they're not paying the money for those guys for it to be worth it, etc. To go ahead, except for like Randy Moss, Buck and Aikman, they're getting like a lot of money, etc. But they're the money that these guys are spending. So, but you got Stephen A. making a lot of money, Buck Aikman making a lot of money, McAfee's making more money than God. That's kind of the way to do it. Some guys are going to get a lot of money, and then other guys just aren't going to get anything.
Hey, when he signs back in, work with me.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So, but no, I get what you're saying, and you're right, Rav. You're right. PTI, Sports Center. I mean, that's pretty much the legacy stuff that's out there. But the other part of it too, it kind of goes back to the coach. You ever notice with coaching, you never see those Hall of Fame players as head coaches? Almost never. The guys that know the most about the nuts and bolts of sports and the guys that can convey the information the best, 95% of the time are not the big names. It's the Jeff Saturdays. It's the Moose Johnstons. It's the guys like that who were parts and integral parts, but they know the ins and outs of the game. They weren't focused on just passing the ball to the receiver, handing the ball to the running back, calling the offense, and that's it. They pick up on all the other ins and outs, and they're watching the 22s and all that, all 22s and that kind of deal. Baseball's the same way. Why do you think a large percentage of successful managers were former catchers? Because they know that they see the game, they know the game, they watch the game, that kind of stuff, and they see it in a different way. You don't see the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's or the Michael Jordans or the guys like that as head coach. Irvin Magic Johnson is probably one of the biggest crashes and burns in head coaching history in the NBA. And he's one of the best players in the history of the game. Top 10 history of the game. But all right, folks, that wraps it up here. We'll get back with you next week. And hi, Dylan. How are you? I think he's asleep.
I literally just got home.
How you doing, Dylan?
It's not surprising the way you feel.
You don't mean no harm, Jim.
Can I hear him?
We were just talking about streaming services and the money involved and all that good stuff.
But I want to say this about that too. You talk about guys knowing the game and all that. I think Ken was on here one night. He was talking about how Dan Hampton was signing autographs, still charging a lot of money for autographs, right? And like this. How long has it been since Dan Hampton stepped on the field, a football field at this point? Been
30 years, 35 years?
Over 30 some years. He's still getting all this money because he was on the Super Bowl winning Bears. I think that has more to do with it than that, what you're saying, as far as that. A lot of these superstar players don't need a job, don't need to work, don't need to do anything. They've tried to several times, just use the Orioles, for example, to get Cal Ripken more involved into day-to-day operations of the team. And he's like, no. And why? He doesn't need to be there and deal with that and do that every day. And that's Magic's problem. Like you mentioned, that's why he's such a train wreck. Magic doesn't really need, he'll sit in board meetings, he'll do some things, but he doesn't need to roll his sleeves up and do that. Tom Brady, number one announcer at Fox, he didn't even want the job. They say it has to be this much money. They actually gave him a ridiculous amount of money for him to take.
I understand, but you noticed I didn't bring his name up because I think he is absolutely god awful as a color guy. The next conscious thought he puts into something will be the first.
Well, I'm not even talking about.
I might be crazy. I think Tom Brady is 150 times better than Tony Romo.
I'm not saying Romo's that great, but Brady does is regurgitate what was said by the play-by-play guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he does.
Brady was much better in year 2 than he was in year 1. Much
He didn't have any place to go but up, Rav.
Okay.
And this is not me. This is not me
enough.
as a Brady hater. This is not me as a Brady hater saying this. This is me as a guy in the business. It's one of those things that, again, when you're a color commentator, you're supposed to get into the ins and outs of the game that's away from the ball. Why would you put a quarterback in that spot? Because what's the one thing the quarterback knows how to talk about? What's
Quarterback.
going on with the ball, which is the exact thing the play-by-play guy is supposed to do.
Part of his problem is Brady. If we're talking about Brady specifically, is he's got so many rules with the fact that he's working with the Raiders. He can't say this, he can't do this, he can't do that, he can't. Where I think, like, for instance, Collinsworth is way ahead of both of those guys. Collinsworth, I think, is fantastic. I think he's actually grown up a bit where he used to be way more negative. I think he's spot on a lot with a lot of the things he says. I think he's really, really good in general. But he kind of said, but Collinsworth says what he wants to say. That's what the point is. Like, where those guys are very corporate at times and kind of what they say. Romo's kind of getting told, I could tell, don't do this, don't do that. He's kind of used to kind of just let it fly, and now they're kind of like trying to rein him in or whatever.
What made Romo so good in the beginning was the fact that he could call the play before it happened. He could literally call what was going to happen on the play before. That's what CBS pulled the reins on, where they didn't want him, in essence, breaking kayfabe, to use a wrestling term, to tell people what was going to happen before it happened. That's what they pulled him back on, which was his real kind of forte and what drew people to listening to him. And then they told him not to do it.
Yep. There was a playoff game he called, and he was over 80% right throughout the game on what the offense was doing on both sides of the ball.
What have you guys talked about tonight?
A lot.
Everything. We really have. We've talked about World Baseball Classic. We've talked about franchise tags. We've talked about streaming services and too much money being spent. We've talked about the lottery. We've talked about the NBA and lottery and MLB lotteries.
We talked about Brian Thomas trade.
We talked, yeah.
By the way, I don't think Brian Thomas Jr. will be trading one iota. I don't think that's happening.
We made that one up. I made that one up. We didn't talk about it.
There was a rumor that floated out on Facebook that he got traded to the Steelers, and I was like, that would have been funny. And Dylan would have had a complete meltdown.
Travis Hunter is not playing wide receiver next year, correct? Is that true? Or he's basically going to be a corner?
We'll see, but I mean, maybe Hunter's a full-time corner and he plays a little wide receiver. We'll see, but by the way, just saw Team Puerto Rico in person in a WBC tune-up game tonight, and Puerto Rico might have the craziest music I've ever heard in a baseball game. You've heard of air horns, vuvuzelas. It's like a World Cup game.
Bobby, put that away.
Wow. Well, I'm going to have to go in a few minutes, but I did have a group game for us, a group effort for us, that I wanted to have more than just two. So now that we've got three here, you guys can tag team on this thing. Shouldn't take too awful long, but there's going to be a few that'll surprise you. Okay. Since the creation of Major League Baseball, there are 12 teams that, as of today, have a 500 or better record all time. Name them.
Who are the New York Yankees?
That would be Captain Obvious, number one. And it's far and away, too. It's a 570 winning percentage. Second place is 535.
Dodgers?
The Dodgers are number 3, yes.
Who are the Boston Red Sox?
They are number 5.
Atlanta Braves.
No.
Yes, they are number 9.
Yeah.
Who are the St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Number 4.
I don't know why I'm going to say this because they've been bad for a while now, but they used to be really good. The Kansas City Royals?
No, sir.
Okay.
San Francisco Giants, I'm thinking.
San Francisco is number 2.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident there that one.
So we have the top 5.
Who are the Cleveland Guardians / Indians?
No.
They are number 7.
Wow.
Yeah.
513 winning percentage.
I want to bet money.
Well, I
against
said
them.
there's going to be teams on here that you're going to go, what? Yeah, you're going to be surprised on a few of them.
I don't think it's-
Sacramento A's.
No.
No.
What'd you say, Jim?
I don't think my Tigers are on there.
Actually, they are at number 10.
Wow.
Who are the Philadelphia Phillies?
No.
Baltimore Orioles.
No.
New York
By the way,
Mets.
just to keep you up to date, we have 6, 8, 11, and 12 left.
6. That's pretty high.
Houston Astros.
I can see
That would be number 11.
I can't give it to him now. Why? It ain't here.
Montreal
6, 8, and 12.
Expos.
We split up.
No.
No, sir.
Oh, okay.
Break, we grab it and run. Leave it
Toronto Blue
alone.
Jays.
Just pure suspicious.
No, sir.
No reason at all.
Who are the Chicago Cubs?
That would be number 6.
Till I'm ready to ride. All right. Sit tight.
So we have number 8 and number 12.
Stay as long as you need.
One of them be the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
No, you wasn't too keen on helping.
That would be no.
You're my brother. I owe you something.
Chicago White
Is
Sox.
that all?
No, sir.
Texas
Oh,
Rangers.
Say no to my share of the payroll.
No.
I figured not.
Tampa Bay Rays.
I can see that one.
No.
No.
Nope.
Mets.
Nope.
I said that already.
Milwaukee Brewers.
He'll heal up just fine.
No.
Oh, thanks, sir.
Cincinnati Red Legs.
Cincinnati is number 8.
Now we
Number
just got
12,
number
the
11.
last one.
Yeah, you'll be as good as new 4 or 5 days.
Seattle Mariners.
Seattle Mariners.
Matter with me, Doc.
No.
No.
Pittsburgh
Arizona-
Pirates.
Arizona Diamondbacks.
The Pittsburgh Pirates.
God, as bad as you guys complain about them, I never thought they'd be on that list.
Well,
The Yankees are 570, Giants 535, Dodgers 532, Cardinals 520, Red Sox 518, Cubs 513, Indians Guardians 513, Reds 504, Braves, Tigers, and Astros all 503, and the Pirates are a perfect 500.
Take it easy, Milt. He's very weak.
Wow.
So there we go.
Orioles didn't make it.
There's
Like where you come from.
They did not. They were like 492, I think it was 492 or 494.
Well,
Yeah, they've been bad for the last 30 years, pretty much. Like, maybe like 10 winning seasons in the last 30.
Figured you guys, might get a little interest out of that.
You think maybe I was mixed up with?
What was the name of the coach that won the Jets their only Super Bowl?
who is Sweet Eubank?
Hey, he knew
And
it.
he was the former Baltimore Colts coach.
Baltimore
from,
Colts coach.
53 to 62.
We Eubank, yeah. I was talking about the Colts this week on the channel for the first time. Baltimore Colts, Bubba Smith
Ooh.
and Johnny U and those guys.
By the way, speaking of,
Marchetti.
Colts, speaking of the Colts, didn't the Colts transition tag Danny Dimes, which means Alec Pierce is going to be a free agent?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Yeah, they transition tagged him. First time a transition tag's been used in years.
I have a feeling of where Alec Pierce is going to go, and it's not New England. I think he's going to the Los Angeles Rams.
You could still use the franchise tag.
No, they can't. No,
Yeah,
they
you can use
can't.
both.
I
No,
think
they
You can use two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, only one.
No,
Only one.
that's why they have two different tags. You can use one of each.
right.
Well, today was the franchise deadline.
Well, yeah, that's true. So if they didn't do it today, then they're not going to do it. Yeah, that's true. I think today was the last day. I enjoy Linderbaum there. Jeremy, I'm sure he'll look good in the line.
He ain't
No.
coming here. I guarantee it.
Hope-
Who's that?
Linda
Oh,
Baum.
Linderbaum.
I heard that you guys just made him a franchise, a market-setting deal, and he has yet to make a decision.
I don't think there's much of a decision. The franchise him is $27 million. The highest paid guy is at
No. You
So
guys
what are we doing?
have offered him a contract, a market-setting contract, and he just has to sign it. That's what I heard.
Why hasn't he signed it?
He probably
He's
wants-
making you sweat because you guys waited.
I'm not as convinced at this point that he's going to sign it. Not that I'm right about these things all the time, but I'm not as convinced of it. He's playing hardball. He's going to have a lot of offers.
I think Tyler Linderbaum's going to a Hall ball. The question is, which one?
I think.
From what they're
Go ahead.
From what they're showing here, they're saying that they don't have a definite number. The source that has this, he doesn't have a definite number, but they say it's almost 1.5 times what Creed Humphreys signed, which was a 4-year, $72 million at $18 million a year. 1.5 times. So that we're talking 27, 28 million a year for a center.
I don't believe that because
On a
the
4-year
tag.
deal.
Here's why I don't believe that. The tag is 27. So if it's 27,
Well, but the tag is for offensive linemen.
Yeah,
Offensive linemen are all one group when it comes to franchise tag.
exactly, which is why they haven't done it. But if that's my point.
Yeah.
So if you're offering 27, why don't you just tag him for sure?
Yeah.
If they were doing that, it's not that. So
Because they wanted it for long term. They didn't want to do it as a 1-year deal.
I don't think it's that.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely want to make sure and lock him up. Because if he has another year like he's been having, then he's wanting to talk 30.
If it's 20, my guess is 22 or 23. They're not going higher than that. They're kind of holding firm on that because if it's 27, then just go ahead and tag him. If it's a per year average or whatever, and just work it out past that. So they're not willing to do that, then it's not that. And he's going to get 27, I think, if he gets the open market.
Offensive
like
lineman, the non-exclusive rights franchise tag, in other words, the one that holds them to the team is 25.7. The transitional tag was 23.3. This is according to Adam Shepard and what he sent out on February 27th.
One of the neighbors see out this window here. Nice kids too.
I was wrong about Ronnie Stanley last year. I thought for sure he was gone. They got something done at the last minute. I can't imagine Stanley had the same interest Linderbaum's going to get. He must have at least 10 teams wanting to pay that $20 million.
I think Lindenbaum is going to go to one of two teams. I think he's going to go to the Giants or the Chargers.
Red horses for a living?
I mean, you look at Justin Herbert last year. He got the you-know-what beat out of him.
Just figures.
Because both of his tackles were hurt.
Well, that-
Very easy.
and
Yeah, but you know who very possibly could be in that mix now?
John
Chicago.
Harbaugh,
Chicago.
Chicago, yeah.
It'll come back.
Drew Dalman retired.
Yeah. So now they need a
That's what I'm
center.
saying. They could be in that mix to get Louderman. Louderbaum,
Linderbaum.
sorry.
I know
Him
what
too.
Chicago, I know who the Bears would want. Maybe a center.
Doing something with myself. Been that way
That's what I'm saying. I think they may
I
be
know
going
who
after
they don't
Louderman.
want.
I mean,
But they might end up having to get him because they don't have a lot of money.
Sarah carried on. cried.
Graham Glasgow.
Well, isn't he retiring too?
No, he got cut.
Well, I think Glasgow might be retiring.
No, he's not. He's looking for a new deal. He already put out he's looking for his next team.
boys, I do have to call it a night. It's
Yep.
9:30.
I
I
do
gotta
too.
call it a night. I gotta.
All right,
You
thanks.
guys can keep going, man. If you want.
Oh
to.
no.
I'm good.
Thanks for having me. I had a blast. Been an hour and a half.
JB,
I'm
lead
done.
us off, man. Lead us off. How do people get hold of you?
You can find my writing at the South Florida Tribune and also at Roundtable.io, where I write about the Jags and the Bucks. You can also find me right here on Driving to the Top Productions on Tuesday nights. And you can find me on my channel, which is Kneecap Biting with the Motor City Lions on YouTube, where you can find it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and occasionally on Rumble.
Dylan, where do folks get you,
thanks
man?
hit me at Dylan at Sports One, Big D Podcast, Bunky Spectrum Sports, and at least for the next couple of weeks, see me around JetBlue Park with the Red Sox, and do baseball games at night with vuvuzelas, air horns, and whatever else. Come back and talk more baseball. What else are we going to do?
There you go. Rav, how do folks get you, man?
All right, this week on the Ravery Sports Podcast, we're going to be doing our NFL Big Board as well. We're going to go over who are the 10 best players in the NBA, and also, too, we're going to do top 10 right fielders in MLB this week. Also, to our spring training report as well. Also, to check out raverysports.blogspot.com. So definitely, too, our blogs are there every morning, Monday through Friday, ready at 6 a.m. on our website, and always check us out on raverysports.company.site, our flagship as well. So definitely check out lastly most recent interview with my brother, my brother, Greg McBride, talking about his business and everything like that. And we talked a little Colts football and of Squealers football as well, Steelers.
All right, we'll have about enough of that.
Is that it, Rich?
Yeah, I mean, you can get me on Twitter, Big Rich 8371 on Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it this week. You can also get me on Facebook, Rich Richardson. We just started a new Jetstream Media Facebook page where you can find out all kind of information about different things, and with our radio stations that I work with, and you can get some cool promotion advertising information as well. Till next week, we'll catch you right here on Driving to the Top. I'm Big Rich. So long, everybody.